In this tutorial, we're going to be looking at the ActionScript 3.0 FLV playback component. We've actually seen this several times already, but now we'll be looking at it in a little bit more depth and detail. And we're going to be configuring this component via the user interface. That is, via the Properties panel and the Component Inspector. We're not going to be configuring it using ActionScript. So let's start by opening an FLA. File, New, and we're choosing Flash File ActionScript 3.0. That's what will make this an ActionScript 3.0 FLV playback component. And I'll just save this. And I'm calling that FLV playback 3.0. Now let's go to the Components panel. I'll just go to Window, Components, and there's our FLV playback component. And I'll just drag that to the stage. And now I can close this panel. I'm already in the Properties Inspector. And here are the properties of this component: the position and the size. And I'm going to change that. I'll set the position to 2525. And you can see that moved that up towards the upper left-hand corner there. And I'll set this to 700 by 500. And I'm also going to go to Modify Document and set the size of the document to 800 by 600. And Control minus so we can see this. So that's what we have right now, the player somewhat positioned in the upper left-hand corner of the stage. Another thing that I want to do is create a rectangle in the same position and at the same size as the player, because you don't really see the player on the stage, and I want you to be able to see very clearly. So I'm going to create a rectangle which will visibly identify the size and position of the player. So first let me double click here. That's the player. Create a new layer. Double click here. Name that Rect. Go to the Rectangle tool. Start at the upper corner here. Click and drag. And release. And let's just go to the Properties panel and make sure that this is the correct size and position. I'm going to lock the player, go to the Selection tool, select that rectangle, go to the Properties panel, and it is. It's 25 by 25 and 700 by 500. Now let's go back to the timeline, pull that rectangle down below the player, lock the rectangle layer, unlock the player, select the player, and before I can do anything else, I need to put a movie here for the source. And I'm going to be using this fire.flv. It's in the same directory as the FLV playback FLA that I just created, so I don't need to give a path. I can just name the file itself. Double click, fire.flv. So now we're all set up, and in the next tutorial we'll start looking at these parameters.